So I tried to keep it simple. So I was here last year and I talked at a higher level about Archive It. So I'm not going to go into. I'm kind of focusing this year on our 5.0 release, but just to give some of you who weren't here last year or some of you who aren't familiar with us a high-level overview. The Internet Archive is a digital library. We were founded in 1996 by Brewster Kahle, and we're located in this beautiful building here in San Francisco. And many people know us for the global Wayback Machine. Well, actually, now everybody knows us for all of the video games that we have online, but they used to know us for the Wayback Machine. And it's a great, publicly available, very broad, not always very deep, but very broad web archive. Once we started doing web archiving, we realized that this was something that institutions had a need and a mandate to be doing to preserve content that they're either responsible for, interested in, or would like to provide stewardship for. So we developed Archive It, which is a web-based service that allows users to be in charge of creating, managing, and actually archiving these collections of web content. You can see information here about what our service includes. It's a very robust service that over 330 organizations are using. One thing that we discovered was we created the service in 2006, and while we added new features and functionality and have greatly improved it based on the feedback of our users, the user interface is still the same as it was in 2006. So we're in the process of doing Archive It 5.0. Which is a total user interface overhaul, as well as incorporating new features and functionality into this overhaul. So the goal is a cleaner layout and aesthetic, making this process more intuitive, more user-friendly, more streamlined workflows, and also adding more dynamic visualizations. There's a lot of data in web archiving, both the web archives themselves as well as information about what's captured. And so we want to find ways to communicate that information in a more visually appealing way and a more useful way. So our first phase one, was just solely on the reports, so information about how your crawl, how your web archive capture went. And how we've built so far, what we've built so far, phase one, this came out back in October. We use Druid as the real-time data store. That's where all the reporting information is stored, and that's accessed by our Django and AngularJS framework and front end. So that's how we're building kind of this new and more streamlined interface. And there are a bunch of new features that I'll go through when I do the actual demo, but there's some different new ways to see information in these updated reports, as well as new functionalities that weren't available previously. And this is part of a phased rollout of this 5.0. It turns out that creating a whole new user interface and releasing it all at once is really hard and really time-consuming. Who knew? And so we're doing it in phases so that partners can see, kind of a little bit about what's happening. They can try it out. They can still have the old interface to fall back on a little bit if they're nervous about using the new interface. And really kind of get used to it in stages, as well as we can build it in stages. So there are different features that are being included in a winter release coming out in February or March. And then summer will be our full release. That'll include a complete shift over to the new user interface. And there's a release schedule URL down there at the bottom. But there are a lot of kind of additional features that are going to be built into this. So it's something that's really exciting for us and for our community.